welcome to Reconcilable Differences. I'm Phillip George Jr., and this wealth of knowledge beside me is Paul Smith, and we're with the On the Move team at eXp Realty. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing good. I noticed you changed your intro, in particular for me, and I appreciate that, by the way.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're subscribing to our channel, you've watched some of our episodes, you know we're going to talk about a variety of topics. And our first topic is Dungeons and Dragons, Paul.
What a topic.
It's pretty popular right now.
Well, because of the movie that just came out.
Well, I don't think just because of the movie. In fact, the popularity has increased substantially since COVID. Since the pandemic, yeah.
Do you have any numbers on that?
I did not pull that data for the numbers necessarily, but I've seen the increase, and what I want to say is there is TV shows, YouTube channels of people playing D&D.
I've heard this.
And you just watch them play D&D.
And don't they get paid to do it?
Yes, and they have sponsors and everything. But then there's an online gaming now that's blew up with popularity. I don't have specific numbers. Again, if anybody knows how much it increased, obviously let me know. But my wife, she plays a couple of nights a week, and she is investing and looking for the old D&D books, you know? And she says that she's been to a bunch of different bookstores, and they all say, yeah, we all sold out because people really got into it in the pandemic. You can do it online. You can play with your friends all across the world. And so if you're stuck at home, it's a fun thing to do, right?
Well, first off, let me say about you and Kelly's search for old books. So I just completed the police report, by the way, with the sheriff's department because I noticed somebody broke into my house and stole all my old D&D books. And then I realized it was Kelly who came in and borrowed them. All right.
Did you name her in the police report?
I didn't because I didn't know who. No, I'm kidding about the police report, by the way. But Kelly did reach out to me and ask about old D&D materials that I had because we're going to get into because I did play when I was younger, and when I say younger, it was when I was in my early 20s. Somebody introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons. So we'll talk a little bit about that because it's a lot different then than what it is now. I think it's gotten better actually because of technology.
If I can interject. Yeah. Just so if you don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is really, it's a game, a creative game that's a role-playing game that has to do with your character, you have a backstory, and then you advance through the game by rolling different sets of dice. By the way, my wife has more dice than any person should ever have ever in their entire life. She has enough dice, she could start a dice store, okay? So it's fun, you get to do different things as far as, you really use your imagination, and then you use the dice to kind of roll through. And then I think you have a lot of experience with being the dungeon master, and you use dice to basically attack the other people, right?
Well, yeah, the dungeon master has dice just like the players have dice. But you know, I'm chuckling to myself because this is my opinion anyway. Somebody who plays Dungeons and Dragons, their dice is like, you can't identify with this, but you know, back in the
my golf clubs?
Back in the disco days when you'd get dressed up to go to the disco, all right? Like you were judged by your clothes and you know, and what you wore. Well, it's like D&Ders sometimes feel they're judged, I think, by their dice. You know, their colors, the shape. Do they glow in the dark? You know, do they have diamonds? And there's some weird dice out there, by the way.
There is.
And Kelly's got a stash of them.
But very artistic, right?
So yes. And again, it's just part of the fun and the enjoyment of the game, I think, from a character standpoint. So my experience with Dungeons and Dragons. So when I was in my early 20s, actually Diane and I were just married. Diane was playing Dungeons and Dragons. She was invited to play. It might have been her brother, I think Kevin, who gave her an invite to join a campaign. And she was in the campaign, and I think they were winding down the first module they were in. A good friend of ours, Al, was the DM, and when they were about to start the next one, they asked me to join, which I did because it was actually one way for me to see more of my wife since she was like gone the whole afternoon or evening
playing D&D.
Yeah. You know.
Now, for the listeners, the subscribers out there, can you tell us circa what year this was?
This would have been 1980. Okay.
The reason why I asked that question is because it's evolved a lot now, right? Like that was very different back then.
Yes. So back, you know, obviously internet didn't exist, all right? Computers really weren't at the point they were at now, for sure. Certainly individual cell phones, et cetera, technology had an advance. So when you were playing D&D, a lot of it, or I would say there was more creativity that was not technology driven.
Because you kind of had to use your imagination, right?
Which you still do, and a lot of it depends on the imagination of the dungeon master, who really brings the module to life. Like, he interacts and he gets in my opinion, he's the key to getting the characters, obviously, to be involved in the campaign, to let characters and their ingenuity and in the color of their characters to come out. He's the one that starts painting the canvas through, of the module.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
And in the old days, it was just really done by the D&D's descriptive words describing what's happening.
Yeah, we had to map things on paper because you couldn't do it on computer, all of that kind of thing.
And then the D&D advances it too, does it not?
Yes.
Or I should say that.
Yeah. So by the way, Dungeons and Dragons, it was created by a gentleman by the name of Gary Gygax. He's since passed away. I can't remember what year, but he was in the forefront. He wrote a lot of the early modules, and then more folks jumped into writing things, and it just kind of caught fire, if you will. But what's changed is, computerization. The internet, because now you can have a campaign going on and you can have every single person you're playing with be in a different country, different city, whatever the case, different time zone.
Now, have you tried the new format?
I actually have. I did something that we used to in the past call a Monty Hall adventure. It was like a one evening adventure that
designed to be done in that
Diane to be done in one evening, right? And I jumped in, and I really was surprised with how the DM really could, on the computer screen, he could show the map, he could get a lot more information across faster. It kept the game moving. There were a lot more visuals. And again, the DM is the key. The gentleman that they adventure with, Kelly and Diane, I can't remember his name, forgive me, but he's very good. He's very good. He's very patient. And
is it Chris?
It might be Chris.
Chris,
yeah. He's been doing it for a long time. And I think this is all he does. Like, he's a professional dungeon master.
I think he has several nights a week that he has these groups.
Yeah, like when he says he's got an appointment, he means he's doing a campaign.
Yeah.
And versus the appointments we have.
That's what they're called, campaigns, right?
Campaigns.
Yeah, I think the ladies just finished like a campaign they've been working on for like 3 years, right?
Yeah, and there's different. They call it like the one that I played.
Modules?
Well, no, there's different modules, but the version of Dungeons and Dragons, and there's also something called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which that's the one I would say is more related to today and what I played in the past. It was version 2E.
Okay.
And the one that's played now is 5E.
Wow.
Because characters have changed, spells have changed, abilities of the characters have changed, and I know nothing about what they are today, really, to tell you the truth. Kelly and Diane would be more involved in that. But it's gotten a resurgence.
Absolutely, I would say so.
Well, it kind of peaks and then it goes up and down, I guess,
like
a little
anything
bit.
else.
I started in the 80s, like some others, in what is it now, 2023?
Right.
So, and there are others just jumping into the game now who are, far younger than me. That's
Which
for sure.
eventually will probably teach it or show it to their kids.
And it'll change in other ways. It like a lot of things in life, it evolves in technology.
So I grew up in the 80s as a kid, and I always, and again, this is not a reflection of what we actually think. We're not saying one way or the other. We're not talking about religion. But I grew up, and the adults at the time would tell me that it was the devil's game. But I think that's coming around to it's just a game.
Okay. I can honestly say in my many times adventuring and being a dungeon master, I have not met a single devil. Okay, I have not met a single devil.
But a few dragons.
Okay, I have met some dragons.
There's a lot of different colored dragons.
Now I didn't say I didn't fight devils and demons, okay?
Right.
I mean, none actually physically appeared in front of me for real.
Fair enough.
Okay. By the way, no dragons appeared in front of me physically for real either. Okay. All right. Yeah. There's other TV shows you can watch for that stuff. So what can we say about stuff like that?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
that's my introduction into it as a kid, hearing people say that.
Yeah.
I've tried to play it with Kelly a couple of times, and I want everyone that's out there watching and subscribing to look at my face right now. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know why they do it. I cannot spend hours and hours doing it, but I'm happy that she has fun, and it really is a complicated game. It allows you to have, she enjoys it with the characters, and enjoys to do a little play acting with the characters. She's tried to do different accents for it, you know. You were playing around with an accent earlier today, didn't you? You said y'all.
Y'all, yeah, y'all. Yeah. That's
from Boston,
that's the only Southern word I know, by the way, is y'all.
It's kind of different, kind of weird.
Well, I know fried green tomatoes too, but y'all. My accent is permanent.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, it's your comment about the devil is interesting, because didn't they say that about rock and roll music too?
Yeah, they say it about anything new and different a lot of times.
Whoever they are.
I like that. The proverbial. Now, we did go see the movie because the ladies.
We did.
They wanted to go. I agreed to go because I like Chris Pine. I think he's a great actor. Yeah. What did you think about the movie? The new one? Because I think there's old ones too.
The parts I like about Dungeons and Dragons is I'm a hacker and a slayer, and people who have played D&D know what that means. All right. I did not think the movie didn't have enough hacking and slaying to me.
Okay.
All right.
Although Kelly did say that if you watch the movie and you know how the game is, you can see why they did certain things in the movie. They weren't out there rolling dice, but they didn't do things like they did it to basically to the rules.
There's not to ruin your interest in it if you haven't seen it, but there's a lot of spell, there's a lot of magic kind of thing, and just not enough hacking and slanging for Paul.
Fair enough. There was not enough. Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again. So my point that I'm trying to get at is,
it's streaming now, you know.
I think so, yeah. But I will watch it again. So I really am. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they enjoy playing it, and I think a lot of people do enjoy playing it. And it's not as strange as you may think watching other people play D&D, because there is characters. Like they have, I think Kelly's favorite one is, I think it's called Critical Role, I think is what it is. And so,
which didn't exist when I started.
These are actors that are doing it. So when you watch it, if you really like D&D, you know, they get into the character way more than your average person. They can do accents. They are entertaining to do it. I don't particularly get it, but then we live in an age where people watch other people play video games. So, you know, who's to say? So if you enjoy D&D, I'm happy for you. Again, I'll say it again, I don't get it. I think, Paul, you like the new version? You think you'll play again?
No.
Okay.
No, and it's not because I dislike it. It's there's only so much time, and to play.
And by the way, we are realtors, so
I mean, to be serious about Dungeons and Dragons, you need to study it. You need to work your character. You need to do spells, investigation, and it's
involved.
My time's going in another direction.
I got you.
Okay. Like for example, I'm sitting here with you.
That's right. Reconcilable differences.
That's right.
So, Paul,
episode 5. By the way.
Oh, it is. We didn't tell everybody. It's episode 5. Yep. And we're happy to be here. We're having fun. So, Paul, unless you have anything else to add, I think we're probably done enough with that D&D topic.
Yeah, we could go in other directions, but I think we need to get into some real estate stuff right now.
I like the way you're thinking. And today's real estate topic are features that add to your list price, that increase what you can get for your home, and things that we would quantify, that you would make on a CMA. You might make adjustments. For example, you might, if all your comps have a 1 car and your house has a 2 car, you're going to add to that. If your house has a 1 car and all your comps have a 2 car, you're going to minus from that. But there's different ways, and everybody has a different kind of opinion. But we're going to concentrate today just on the features that add to your list price.
I like the way you put that.
Okay.
And let me say the following, okay? My mind was thinking about this topic in the following way, all right? I have some things when I sit down with a seller, and they've given me the tour through their home, and one of the reasons why I'm there is to give them some recommendations on what they should do. So of course, we always ask ahead of time before we get to the listing appointment, what have they done to the home? Mm-hmm. What improvements, updating, etc., that they have done, and we get a list of that. So in our market, which I think is very similar to others, but the Triangle, the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill market it's insane. It's one of the top 3 markets in the country.
Absolutely, it is.
We have extremely savvy buyers in this marketplace, all right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, we have extremely savvy agents, real estate agents. And it's not just the 2 of us, all right? We have, peers out there, I'll put it that way. But I think buyers expect as turnkey as possible these days in most cases because of our pricing. Our pricing has really done nothing but increase. Yeah. And it even continues to do that today with demand lessened a little bit because of reasons such as interest rates in terms of the time that this is taking place. But
if I could add something to that, if you don't mind, what you're going about savvy sellers, savvy buyers, you got great agents. It's a pleasure to do business in the Triangle market in real estate. It really is. You see a wide variety of price points. It is a pleasure. That's what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and really what I was getting back to is you go into a house to list it, and you already know they've been in it for 12 years. All right.
Okay.
The paint is tired.
Yeah.
The carpeting is tired.
Little dated.
The flooring in general.
I like how you describe tired, by the way.
Is tired or dated. Okay. All right. But then you get into some of the things that they've done. They may have updated their kitchen. They updated counters. Maybe they did some cabinet work. Maybe they did update some things in flooring.
Kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah, those are the things that add value to your price. I'll put it that way, and I mean value not in the sense of an appraiser. Okay. Things that are worth doing, though, we see more demand and houses obtaining more at close because of outside space, outside kitchens, outside hardscapes like fire pits, things like that, patios, screen porches or sunroom, houses, as you said earlier, that have added garage space. Maybe they have that third car or four-car garage.
Or maybe a detached.
Or a detached garage.
Yeah.
That's right. That detached garage, workshop, hobby area. All right. A lot of folks in this area, they're into things like woodworking, cars, refurbishing cars, and it varies from smaller things like Triumphs or MGs to trucks.
Yeah.
All right. And we've seen and dealt with and built some houses with some good sized detached garages. Let's see, swimming pools. That always comes up as something, and we've learned because of houses we've listed in the past 2-3 years, COVID's put a different spin on swimming pools because previous to COVID, some buyers could care less about swimming pools. They almost looked at it as a negative because of safety, especially if they had kids. But with COVID, now all of a sudden it's a perk. Why? Because you got your own swimming pool. You're not going to the community pool, where there's 200 people. That's right. That's right. You control what's going on in your swimming pool to some extent.
You've taken some of the words right out of my mouth, Paul. I've always described pools as a double-edged sword because 50% of the population just doesn't want to the upkeep. And if you're in a community where there's already a nice pool, but since COVID, I agree with you. It has changed the perceptions of pools in our market a little bit.
Yeah. This is just my opinion on the recent sales I've been involved with.
Well, this show is mostly opinion.
That's true. On occasion, we have a fact.
Yeah, once in a while.
Regarding swimming pools, you go in to sell a house or list a house, or you have a buyer interested in a house that has an in-ground swimming pool. A newer saltwater pool, we'll put it that way. And of course, lower maintenance on all of that versus your old chlorine style, if you will. But what value do you put on it? Now, I've had some conversations with some appraisers, like what do they do? And I've been told by a couple, on occasion they might find out what the original cost of the pool was, and then they do a factor of that value. All right.
It's never as much as you think it should be. Just so you know.
Well, of course, number one, if you're listing the house and you're discussing it with your seller that never thinks it's enough, and the buyer always thinks it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like surprise.
Yeah. Welcome to real estate.
It's the classic.
Welcome to real estate.
That's right. Yeah. That's why I call it a negotiation, and that's why we have to hone that skill. One of many. Here's something else I made a note about: the addition and the migration to wanting more home office workspace. Okay, whether you've decided to convert that unfinished basement to a finished space, or maybe you had that third floor walk-up space and you did something with it, or you an unfinished bonus room.
Dining rooms. I've seen, because no one uses their dining room like we used to in the old days.
Yep.
And so I've seen a lot of dining rooms be converted. They'll add the French doors so that they can lock or shut it, and so it can be quiet. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah. Or you had the formal den
or
living room.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That you do exactly what you described to. It's not a bedroom because it doesn't have a closet type scenario. But let's face it, with newer construction these days, most dining rooms have disappeared.
Yes.
Because they want that more open first floor, if you will.
I would say it depends on your price point.
Yeah.
And not only that, I would say going back to a lot of these things, such as the pool and the garage, the adjustment that you make or an appraiser would make, I think depends on, based on the ones I've talked to, depends on price point as well. Right?
And quality of work.
Correct. Like, so
Exactly.
a pool is going to get more of a different value because it's typically going to be a different level of construction if the house is, say, $1 million plus, right? As opposed to, say, a $400,000 house. Again, it's just you spend more, you usually get a better credit for that.
Yeah. Something I think we need to point out, talking about, features that add, value to your home, putting it in those terms, all right? One very important thing that we focus on, and we're not alone in this, we teach this all the time, by the way, is we find out from our clients, from our sellers, what have they done since their ownership, and have them list what they've done. I mean, just tell me everything you've done. You've updated lighting, you've updated the door hardware, plumbing fixtures, you've added this, you've added that, you refinished this, you did the roof, you did the HVAC. Now, some of those things, with all due respect, don't necessarily add value because, let's face it, everybody needs a roof, everybody needs a heating and air system in North Carolina, all right? But what it does do is it does add value, and more importantly, it adds strength to us having the ability to defend a price.
Absolutely.
And justify a price, all right? We also list all those things and share them with appraisers when financing is being done, as you know, because that has helped us defend prices, especially when they've gotten bid up above ask.
Yes.
And I know we're not alone in this, but believe it or not, a lot of folks don't do that. A lot of agents don't do that. A lot of agents don't telegraph that when they have a sit down with their sellers, especially around appraisal time. Well, we take care of you. On the move team, this is what we teach. We teach all of our agents this philosophy, and this is what we share with all of our clients. This is also what we share with our buyers as well, because sometimes we're showing our own house. How did you come up with this? And we explain to them how we've done it.
Paul, if I could piggyback on that. Now, again, we don't know what all agents out there do, but the On the Move team is going to use every piece of information we can get about your property, everything that adds to your list price, anything and everything that you've done. We're going to showcase that to every buyer's agent, and the appraiser if we can. It's important that when you meet with when you're thinking about selling, start jotting that list down. You've been in there 10 years, you've been in there 20 years. What have you done to the property? It may seem minor to you, but it may be the one thing that gets that buyer off the fence and buys your house. But it helps us. The things that some things just don't add value. Like, for instance, you put a roof on, like Paul was saying, or you needed a roof, right? But if you have two equal products and one has a new roof and one doesn't, the one with the new roof is probably going to sell first,
And sell better.
And going back to, so you took literally the words right out of my mouth as far as some of the features that do add to your list price. But I'm going to tell you right now, the quickest way to add value to your property, or add to your list price, I should say, is square footage. When you add an addition, you add a room, you add a bathroom, you add heated square footage to your property, that's going to increase your value of your property immediately, increase your list price. We're going to have to account for that. Now, I want to caution you not to over improve your property. So if you buy a house that's 3,000 square foot and you want to add a 5,000 square foot addition, you might want to check the neighborhood and check with your realtor and see what the upper end of that is. What's the largest house in the neighborhood? Because you really don't want to be the largest house and you don't want to be the smallest house. Preferably, you want to kind of be in that middle, that competitive range for that neighborhood. And adding a 5,000 square foot addition may take you out of the neighborhood and limit what you're going to get back for that. So I caution you to talk to your realtor and don't over improve. Would you agree with that, Paul?
I would. And also, don't forget to do work like adding square footage with the proper permits and inspections.
Yes.
You definitely want to be documenting it correctly, because that's pitfall number one. All right, folks that do, they either do the work themselves or they might hire professionals to do the work, but they don't pull a permit and they don't get the work inspected.
And don't take your contractor, and I'm not saying all contractors are bad. I'm not throwing any contractor under the bus, as it were. I just want you to understand that I've talked to many sellers, and they said, oh yeah, I hired a contractor. He pulled the permit, and there's no permit to be found. So you don't want to just take their word for it. You want to make sure that they quote you for getting that permit and doing the work per the permit, and then you, as a homeowner, want to double check the municipality, the county's record, and make sure that it gets done and that you stay on top of that, because it comes back to hurt you when you go to sell it and you don't have a permit. Number one, it limits some of the buyers. Some buyers are not going to want to buy something that they're going to have to incur whether it was done properly or not done properly.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, get a permit, follow up, and make sure it gets done. This is what On the Move is telling you 100%. Do it the proper way, because it's going to help you in the end.
Yeah. And when Phillip says it gets done, what he means is, depending on what municipality or town you're in, county, whoever has jurisdiction, if you will, for something like this, make sure that the permit is closed out, completed satisfactorily. That's the best way to put it, all right? Some people, well, in the day, it was called, hey, did you get your CO, your certificate of occupancy?
Yes.
Not now, sometimes it's referred to as certificate of compliance, certificate of satisfaction when it comes to a build. Make sure that the town, the city, the county, they've signed off that the work had its final inspection done and it's 100% complete. That is the key. All right, then you've done everything the way it needs to get done.
Absolutely. Some other key features that I wanted to point out, and Paul, you might have said these, so if I'm being redundant, folks, I apologize. But tell us what you think as well. But solid surface countertops, did you say that one?
Yeah. Well, I talked about kitchens, but that.
If you're upgrading tile backsplashes, if you have tiled bathrooms, in like instead of a tub shower fiberglass insert, you have a tub with an actual tiled. You know what is really nice, and I want to ask your opinion. Have you seen like the frameless shower enclosures?
I got to get me one of those.
I really like it. So if you go through the trouble of tiling an entire enclosure for your bathroom, then you want to see it. You want to showcase it. I seen one that was done, and it basically had multiple shower heads. The seamless, so the tile was done, and then you know what the floor was? It looked like rocks.
Oh.
Yeah, and the grout came up just enough so that when you took your shower, it felt like you were taking it in a stream bed. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
It was.
Being in real estate, we see some really nicely done homes, and I'm always amazed at what folks do in the owner's bath or bathrooms in general. But walk-in showers have gotten a lot more attention. Now, typically we always suggest, hey, you got to have a tub someplace, because
one tub.
And quite frankly, we have a tub. I think between my wife and I, we may have used the tub 3 times. It was either used by our pets.
Yeah.
On my daughter.
That's right.
That's it. Okay, when she was younger.
We just live differently now.
Yeah,
right.
We do. We do. But I don't know if you remember. We've listed some really nice properties.
Yes.
But I remember listing a home, a new build, and it was in 4 Oaks. All right, and it was a gorgeous all brick home. It was on like 7 acres.
Oh yeah.
And the wife had contracted to build this house because the husband worked for DuPont, and he did a lot of traveling. So she was in charge of contracting and getting this house built.
That one had a pool too, right?
That one had an in-ground pool as well. That's right. But I remember the owner's bath. Man, this thing was like you could put a football team in there.
It was like a spa.
Yeah, it was like, and it's like, man, this thing is monstrous. Like, let's put it this way. Try to put it in polite terms.
Okay.
2 people would be lost in the shower.
Yeah,
the shower.
Oh, the shower.
That's how big the shower was.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember the actual shower. I remember the property.
It was monstrous. It's like steam shower.
Ooh,
like
nice.
4 shower. Like when you walk into a shower, by the way, and there's 4 shower heads. Doesn't that get you thinking a little bit?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great. You don't have to turn around.
Well, we don't want to turn this into something else. Yeah.
Well, with that being said, there's a lot of things you can do to add to your list price, to add to the features of your home that we're going to take into account. As I just said, solid surface countertops. I think quartz is really in right now as opposed to granite. There's also solid surface flooring, I think is a big deal. And there's different levels of that. So there's different levels of upgrades to your property as well. So for instance, if you do engineered as opposed to luxury vinyl plank, for example, if you're doing true site finish hardwoods as opposed to pre-finished hardwoods, etc., I think there's a lot into it. And if you have questions about your property or which features to add to, we'd love to help you. Reach out to us. You can subscribe, of course, right? And reach out to us on social media. Give us a call. We're happy to help. Paul, you have anything else to add on the features that add to your list price?
I don't think I have anything else to add that we didn't cover already.
I think you did a great job, Paul.
Yeah.
Don't you guys? Yeah.
Well, and hey, if you're interested in selling, please reach out.
Absolutely. So our next topic is another fun topic, and I think it's pretty funny. So let me just, hot dogs, ketchup, yay or nay? And the reason why this came about is I was telling Paul, I used to listen to a radio program, and I can't remember which one it was. I think it was either the Adam and Joe show or the David Glenn show here in North Carolina. It's a radio program, and they were talking about putting ketchup on a hot dog. And according to them, that after like the age of 7, you can't put ketchup on your hot dog, which I think is just baloney.
So you made this, and I know this topic is going to get expanded about what you put on a hot dog.
Yes.
But you talked about ketchup. So I was thinking, what condiments should be allowed on a hot dog?
Well, that's one they said is not, if you're an adult.
Okay, so they certainly haven't had a hot dog in my household because, I have specific thoughts about it, but, my wife literally, she empties the refrigerator, and whatever's in the refrigerator, that's what she would put on the hot dog. All right, and it's almost that broad, to tell you the truth. And I think this must go back to her childhood because her dad could turn any mystery food into a gourmet meal. But anyway, so I personally feel some things should be allowed on a hot dog and some things should not.
Okay, right. We'll get into it.
Okay, so, all right. Now, certainly mustard. Now, whether it's yellow or spicy brown or some import from Germany or whatever the case may be, mustard, relish, chili, sauerkraut, those are go-tos, okay? Mm-hmm. I get some bizarre things too that I guess, I can't say I've ever put any of this stuff on a hot dog, but I gotta put my glasses on to see some of these, forgive me. Doritos, bacon, barbecue sauce, caramel popcorn. Doritos, macaroni and cheese on a hot dog.
I've seen that, yeah.
What
they've gotten creative.
Is poutine that Canadian thing?
Yeah,
Is it cheese?
I don't know if we're saying it right, so please correct us. But I think it's.
That's how it's spelled.
I think it's poutine. Yeah, I think it's. But it's cheese curds,
mashed
and
potatoes,
fries.
and gravy,
and
that's gravy.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
Well, let me break this out. So every region has kind of its own thing. Like I think in a Chicago dog literally has a pickle slice, a spare on it. It's like, that's too much for me.
And they love it.
They love it.
That's what they're used to.
That's what they're used to.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you brought that up because there's a bunch of different things you can put on it. One I like, if you're going to go sauerkraut, if you're just doing mustard, it's pretty good. I like onions and peppers. A Carolina dog, I'm from Carolina. Paul's from Massachusetts, but a Carolina dog has the slaw. So I grew up with chili and slaw and relish and onions and mustard and ketchup. Like I'll put anything on there.
I forgot about it.
But I think as of now, if I had a go-to dog, it would be chili, cheese, mustard, and onions right now. But let's say that I'm not putting anything on there. Let's say I'm eating just a hot dog without any chili or anything. I like just a little bit of ketchup. And I know I'm not supposed to have that according to some people, but I like it, so I'll do that. And then I wanted to talk to you, Paul, about famous hot dogs too. So Coney Island is a big dog.
Nathan's.
Have you ever had a Coney Island dog?
I've had a Nathan's, but not anything. Not
is that the one that's on?
Yeah,
the
contest that they do.
Well, I know that's a different conversation, but Coney Island specifically.
I think it's Nathan's hot dogs.
Is that Coney Island?
Coney Island.
Okay.
I think.
I was going to talk about that, but first I want to talk about one that we've shared together is a Fenway Frank.
Well, we didn't eat the same hot dog.
No, I'm saying we had
our own
at the game. Yeah, we had it at the game. Well, and did you know an interesting fact? Usually at the games, like at the stadiums, hot dogs are either grilled,
rotisserie fried.
Yeah, right. Either grilled or fried.
Be boiled.
But the Fenway
steamed.
Or steamed. That's the I apologize.
Steamed
or grilled. So the Fenway Frank is boiled and grilled. And then they put it in the bun and everything. I've had one. I thought it was okay. I don't know that I would drive out of the way to get it.
Well, I mean, that's part of the Fenway Park
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You have a Fenway Frank. Put on it whatever you want.
Right.
all
Right.
You have a cold beer.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a good day.
And you have an obstructed view seat.
Yes. Well, what I did anyway. But I will tell you another part of Fenway.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, again, it was a great story, but I will tell you this. Another part of the experience of going to Fenway is that everybody's family at Fenway, because the seats don't allow you to not be family. You literally are touching everybody that's around you, because they're just. I feel like the stadium was built when America was smaller. which again, we're working on our weight. We're going to post updates about that every so often. But I'm telling you, literally, I was touching everyone that was in the row around me.
And you were probably very excited about that.
I was not as much, but I did enjoy being there. Fenway is beautiful. It's awesome. It's historic. But going back to that, I wanted to say about here in North Carolina, and my wife is a perfect example. She's from Massachusetts. She's not, when we first got together, she would not eat a red hot dog. Like the bright leaf hot dog, the red one that you see down here in Carolina. That's the only one I really want. When I think hot dog, I think a red hot dog. And now, because of me and because of her eating them and having to get them for me, we used to do like the Frankfurters or the beef hot dogs for her, and then we do a red one for me. But now she doesn't want the beef. She doesn't want the Frank. She wants the red hot dog. And so that, if you haven't tried it, you should try it. It's a red. I don't know how.
Don't they call them red hots?
No, that's a different thing.
Is that the one with the
those are a little
spicy
and,
vinegar?
Yeah, and they're a little fatter too. They're more like a sausage almost. But anyway, the red hot dog is fantastic. If you haven't tried it, try it. Let us know what you think about it. And then going back to the Nathans, because you brought that up, this is what I checked out the 2023 winner, Joey Chestnut. You probably heard that, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what I wanted to tell you. This is what is crazy to me. He ate 62 hot dogs. 62 hot dogs, okay?
That's not his record either, by the way.
Yeah, and that's not the crazy part. You know what second place? How many hot dogs second place got?
45?
49. Can you imagine eating 49 hot dogs and not even being close to winning? Like, not even close to winning.
That before that contest took place. It's the 4th of July, too, it takes place.
Yeah,
right?
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the morning of, I'm trying to remember, I think I was listening to NPR. I think they interviewed Joey Chestnut, and he said he was going to shoot for 80.
Oh, my goodness.
He was going to try to do 80. This is the part that I found hilarious. Quote, this is a quote from, almost, I think, verbatim from Joey Chestnut. If the conditions are right, I think I can eat 80. Like,
what conditions?
Yes. Are you talking about like the wind? Are you
Have you not eaten
no
anything
rain?
in 3 days?
Like no rain?
Oh my goodness.
Like I mean, so here's a question. All right.
All right.
And this is always stuff that we go back and forth about.
Right.
Is hot dog eating a sport?
No. No. But I will tell you this. Have you ever thought about how many hot dogs you've had at one time? For one meal, one setting? I know mine exactly.
I think I probably know how many.
Well, when I was a kid, probably about 13 to 15, I ate 14 hot dogs all the way. Now, that's because the contest is just some of them have water on it. They're cramming. It's just the wiener and the bun. That's it. That's all you got to eat. Yeah. But we ate chili, slaw, relish, mustard.
On all 14?
All 14 I did, yeah. But I was, again, growing boy. I ate like a crazy person.
Well, my one observation about that, when you ate 14 with all of that stuff on it, were the conditions must have been perfect.
They were.
In Sanford.
I was hungry. Yeah, that was a condition.
4, by the way.
Is the most you've ever eaten?
Is the most I've ever eaten, is 4.
I got you beat by 10.
But I mean, these might have been, they weren't foot longs. They were not the short red ones that we were talking about before.
I just keep thinking about that second place guy. 49 hot dogs and not even close to winning. Can you imagine what that does to your body?
Hey, let's face it. We probably done some crazy stuff when we were younger. Challenges about things, but I was never posed with a challenge about let's see how many hot dogs you can eat. You know?
Well, we again, I had two brothers growing up, so we would challenge. And to tell you something about eating, we grew up in the South, down here in North Carolina, and we would eat hot peppers as a challenge. So I see all these people eating like the one chip challenge. And again, I'm not saying we ate ghost peppers, okay? But we ate some pretty hot peppers, cayennes, red pepper, whatever the case is. I don't know the names of all of them, but we would literally eat it out of the jar one at a time. And if you drank water or you needed anything like that, then, you lost basically. So we've been doing that since. I
actually have been faced with that challenge.
Have you? Okay.
I can't remember how, I might have been 19, all right? And when I was, interesting thing, in Massachusetts, when I just turned 18, the drinking age went to 18. And then I just turned 19, they bumped the drinking age back to 19. And then they held off a couple more years, and then they raised it back up to 21 for good reason. Mm-hmm. But I was 21. But I remember at 19, and there were a group of us over at one of our friends' house, and his parents weren't home. So we decided to raid the refrigerator. So they bring out this jar of hot Italian cherry peppers.
Okay. Are they normally? I thought cherry peppers were.
Well, you could get hot, spicy ones.
Okay.
I think they could be red or green.
I got you.
And they were stuffed, but they were supposed to be really hot, and I love them things.
Yeah.
Okay. So the challenge was like, could I eat like 10 of them? It's like easily.
Yeah.
All right. Like that to me, that was like a Friday snack back at the house.
Yeah. They were good. You were just popping them in. Yeah.
Well, the other thing was we were washing them down with beer. So
yeah, absolutely. That's
and I was drinking age. Yeah. I was 18 back then.
That's what.
And I was 19 at the time.
I will say though, you paid for that later.
Oh no, it's because I was used to it.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother, my Italian mother, would on occasion make hot, spicy stuff, or she'd buy these because she knew I loved them. So
anyway. Okay, we digress about the hot dogs a little bit, but I do have a funny story to tell you about a pepper. So you know what habaneros are, right?
Yes.
So they're very hot, but they're not super big. They look kind of cute, Me and this girl I was dating was at a party when we were younger, and they had some of these peppers there, and I was like, no, I ain't messing with that. I knew what it was. So the girl I was dating at the time grabs it, and she's like, she had a couple beers, and she was feeling pretty good. She grabs it and she bites it like it's like an apple. Okay, I'm telling you, when she bit it, I was like, oh no. And about, 30 seconds later, she grabbed, without asking anybody, and she's in somebody else's house, grabs their milk and literally is pouring it down her mouth. It's running all over. She's getting it everywhere. She's about to just like have a heart attack or something. I don't know. She's eating bread. She just grabbed her bread, started eating it, like everything she could possibly do. And I was like, oh my goodness.
That's what they tell you, milk and bread to put out the fire.
So if you don't mind, Paul, to end the hot dog conversation, I'm going to go back to what the actual segment was supposed to be about. Hot dogs, ketchup, yay or nay? What's your final answer?
My preference would be no.
Be nay.
Nay.
No. Well, not. But that's your preference. But other people, you don't care.
Oh, hey.
You don't judge them for that.
All right. Let me make a clear statement here. All right. As a citizen of the United States of America, I feel you could put whatever the hell you feel like putting on a hot dog, all right? Enjoy it. That's right. Because that's why we live here, to do exactly that, all right? And you know what? I live in a household where I see that every day. It's like, my wife puts whatever the hell she wants on her hot dog and enjoys it. And half the fun for me is just watching her eat it, because it's like I could not do that.
Okay, I apologize. I think that's hilarious. Yeah. I'm going to say it's
not a crime. It's not quite a crime when somebody does that.
I agree. But probably watching her and laughing at her is probably. But I think that's funny. I can envision that. I will say, if you like ketchup, put it on there. To me, it's fine. It's good. I don't think you have to be a kid to do that. You
know what this has made me think about? I don't know if you remember this when you were really young. Okay. But I remember when Kelly was really young. Okay. All right. Like when your children they're younger, they're not quite babies, but I can't remember how old she was. But you start cutting up hot dogs for them to eat.
Right.
and you know, and you're visiting your friends, and they do the same thing with it. That's a meal. That's a simple meal for them to eat. Okay.
Did you ever put it in like baked beans?
No.
And beanie weenies?
No.
Great.
This is, and what I'm getting at is, how does a child go from like a sliced up regular hot dog to eating the monstrosity like that my wife eats now? Like, where does all that come? Like, I don't like. How does that come about?
She's piling like salad on it. She's putting all kinds of stuff on it. And Little's lasagna. She don't care.
She don't care. Well, she don't quite put lasagna on it, but that brings up the other thing. You don't remember SpaghettiOs with little franks in them?
Yes, I do. It's kind of, that's why I was going with the beanie weenie thing, because I do like beanie weenies, which is the hot dogs cut up in like baked beans or pork and beans.
Kind of like that.
And I do like it cut up in like macaroni and cheese. It's a quick, easy, like it's a good lunch. You know, your wife is going to know that you made fun of her in this episode. And I'm going to tell her.
Well, make fun is not the. I mean, the reason. One of the reasons why I love her is because she's different. What can I say? You know, that's why we love our spouse.
She is unique and honest. That you got genuine. Genuine's the right word. I'm still telling.
By the way, are we ever going to do a show on Dianisms?
I think we should.
That's down the road.
We do have an episode that that's coming up based on the topics, where I'm going to tell a funny story about her too. Okay. We should probably like warn her that she's going to be famous just from our funny stories.
Now let's wait till it goes viral and people are stopping her in the street.
That should be great. That should be great. So I think we had a good.
No. Let's wait till we're at the next EXP event.
Okay.
Because we're part of EXP.
Yeah, and people start coming up to her.
Glenn Sanford, who founded EXP, taps her on the shoulder and says, "Hey, are you that Diane?" Yeah, I would love to see that.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. I think we've covered 3 great topics today. D&D is a fun game. Features that add to your list price is kind of what we do. So if you need help with that, let us know. And then hot dogs, I think we both come down to, you can put whatever you want to on your hot dog.
Go for it. Once again, thanks for joining us. This was episode 5, by the way. And remember to like and subscribe. Good selling.